So friends, we continue to keep an eye on the news and events on the Ukraine-Russia front. Today there is a lot of good news, but let's start in order. I understand that everyone has already heard this news today. Did Prigozhin die? Let's talk about this in more detail. Currently, there are quite a lot of versions regarding this incident. Let's consider all the available ones. So, the crashed plane in the Tver region turned out to be an Embraer 600 business jet with the registration number RI02795. It could belong to the leader of the Wagner private military company, Prigozhin. On board the crashed plane, not only Prigozhin was present, but also, in fact, the famous Wagner Dmitry Utkin. The Wagner-related channel Grey Zone writes that the aircraft was shot down by air defense. There were 7 people on board. They all perished, according to Russian publications, and the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations reported 10 fatalities. So another version of the plane crash with Yevgeny Prigozhin listed among the passengers is an act of terrorism on board. The second aircraft belonging to Prigozhin landed at Moscow's Vnukovo airport. And will they take the Kremlin? Those around Prigozhin claim that a meeting of the Wagner PMC commanders has begun. If Prigozhin's death is confirmed, the Kremlin will be taken, according to Telegram channels close to the Wagner PMC. Quite interesting. Currently, Wagner is leaving Belarus. Wagner personnel might be trying to leave Belarus for Russia amid rumors of Prigozhin's death. They are forming columns to exit the camps. According to Belarusian underground sources, the dismantling of some Wagner PMC camps in Belarus is happening now, and already all law enforcement agencies in Rostov are on high alert. The police, the Russian National Guard, and others, red flags are flying. Are they awaiting Wagner personnel from Belarus? Meanwhile, in Moscow, movement of nuclear weapons has been noticed. And Putin, meanwhile, left Kursk and is flying to Valdai, hiding in his bunker, maybe. And in Kursk, they are already celebrating with fireworks, whether it's Prigozhin's death or Ukrainian National Flag Day. So this is how Wagner's office looks now. I wonder what connection does the cross have with these inhuman actions. The Russian aviation authorities officially published the list of those who were on board the crashed plane. Among them were Prigozhin and Utkin. Well, let's conclude our report with a comment from Podolyak about the plane crash involving Prigozhin. It's evident that Putin doesn't forgive his own best affair, the one that nullified him in June 2023 and was waiting for the right moment. It's also clear that Prigozhin signed himself a special death sentence the moment he believed in Lukashenko's strange guarantees and no less absurd honest word of Putin, wrote Mikhail Podolyak, an advisor to the head of the presidential office. He noted that the conspicuous removal of Prigozhin and the Wagner PMC leadership 2 months after the attempted coup is a signal from Putin to the Russian elites before the 2024 elections. So please write in the comments whether it was an unfortunate accident, whether he was simply eliminated, or maybe he didn't die at all. But I guess we'll see the situation clearly later on. Meanwhile, yesterday a Russian kamikaze drone destroyed a school in the city of Romny in Sumy region. Let me show you Sumy. So here is Sumy. Yes, so they destroyed a school in the city of Rome in Sumy region, and currently 4 fatalities are known. And now let's move on to a map overview. Let's begin with Kupiansk. In the Kupiansk direction, the occupiers have finally been pushed back. All attacks have ceased, even in Sinkivka. The occupiers were unsuccessful here. They couldn't manage to capture the settlement, and after suffering significant losses, they retreated. Now only Shalin has been reported. It's evident that the Russians couldn't succeed despite using a large number of tanks and infantry. Our defenders managed to hold their ground. In the Svato area, shelling continues, but in minimal quantities. Offensive actions aren't being conducted, and overall, the situation can be deemed stable. In the Kremina and Siversk area, shelling intensified today. Perhaps the Russians will attempt to advance again after artillery preparation, but for now the front line remains unchanged and no attacks have been reported. In the Bakhmut direction, Ukrainian forces have repelled all Russian attacks in the Klishchiivka and Kurdyumivka areas. Now the occupies only Shalin and no new attacks are currently observed. Ukrainian forces in turn are also refraining from conducting assault operations and shelling Russian positions to inflict as much damage as possible to the Russian army. In the Avdiivka direction, the Russians are once again advancing on the outskirts of Avdiivka. However, this time they are unable to break through to the city, and the battles are taking place in the forested area. Further south, so what's happened further south? Further south, the occupiers continue to advance on the outskirts of Mariinka, and Shalin is ongoing, but they haven't achieved any successes, and the front line remains unchanged. Notably, a significant amount of Shalin is directed from Novomykhailivka to Yelizavetivka. The Russians are attempting to target as many Ukrainian positions as possible. And as of today, it is reported that Ukrainian forces have managed to eliminate another 480 Russian occupiers. Okay. In the Vuhledar direction, shelling of liberated settlements continues, but no offensive actions are being carried out, and the front line remains unchanged as before. So far, there are no official confirmation that Ukrainian armed forces are advancing on Zavitne Bajanya and Staromlynivka. In the Zaporizhia direction, Ukrainian forces are actively advancing. Offensive operations are underway in Novopokrovka area and towards Kopany. The occupiers are attempting to encircle our forces with small tactical groups. Ukrainian forces are aiming to push the front line further to reduce the likelihood of Russian breakthrough towards Tokmak and the potential encirclement of advancing units. The Russians are also intensely shelling Robotyne. Currently, there are no new changes along the front line, and the battles continues. So, in the Kherson direction, the occupiers have concentrated their shelling to the To the west of Kherson, active reconnaissance is ongoing and attempts to destroy Ukrainian positions persist. On the other hand, our units are also conducting artillery shelling against the Russians. It's reported that Ukrainian artillery managed to destroy a large mortar firing position and Russian assault group near Oleshki. Unfortunately, there are no new changes along the front line at the moment. Ukrainian forces are successfully targeting Russian aviations even at sea. In the Black Sea near Zmyny Island, defense forces damage a Russian aircraft. According to the main intelligence directorate, the enemy aircraft collided with combat boats in Ukraine's territorial waters. Russian propaganda spread a fake claim about the alleged destruction and sinking of one of the boats, but in reality, their aircraft was damaged. The occupiers' aircraft did attempt to attack the boat, but the missile fell into the water without hitting the target. In response, the military also struck, damaging the Russian aircraft, which eventually flew away from the incident site over the nearest airfield. And finally, happy Independence Day, dear Ukraine. Today, our defendants in the trenches fight daily with sweat and blood for our independence. So, and that's all. Please write in comments what do you think about Prigozhin, about the situation on the front line. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.